Hello. Let's see here. So let's talk about this experiment. Um, first of all, let me start by saying that this should be. Oops, I'm not sharing, am I? I'm not sharing. Let's try it again. There we go. That's better. Let me start by saying that this is a fun experiment. Okay. So all you have to do is survive preparing the petri dishes. Okay. And there's a couple things to it. Let's see. I have some petri dishes here that will help me convey my point. Here we go. And because when you're doing this experiment, the reason it's fun is because you're going to investigate um, what kind of organisms are in different places. Okay. So you're going to take 3 environmental samples, and then you're going to observe the growth over 5 days. And yes, I know today's Wednesday, so before anybody freaks out, I'm going to leave the lab open uh, uh, through next week, so everybody has a good 5 days to do this. Okay, so don't worry about that. But here's the thing, right? You gotta. This is not just an exercise in seeing what microorganisms are there. It's also an exercise in what's called aseptic technique. Okay, and what aseptic technique is the technique necessary to make sure that we don't carry out cross contamination. Okay, so this gets challenging. Okay, your author here. Let me grab a tube real quick so I can elaborate on what I'm saying. So your author gives you 4 tubes uh, uh, of media, right? Here they are. And your job is to put this in a beaker with water, put it in the microwave, heat it, and pour it into the petri dish. Okay. And what I'm telling you is that you have to do 2 things. Number one, you have to be careful so you don't burn yourself. Okay. The author tells you to heat it at 5-second intervals. I would do that. I would also wear eye protection while you're doing this because uh, it's possible to overheat this thing, not see anything happening, and then when it touches a particle, a nucleation particle, it can blow up on you. Okay, so make sure you're wearing eye protection. Make sure that you're wearing gloves. Okay, and heat this. And your author tells you to loosen the cap and put in the beaker. This is important. Loosen the cap. Don't take off the cap. If you take off the cap, okay, and there's garbage in the air, and there always is, that garbage is going to settle into your test tube, and you're going to end up with contamination in your test tube. It's going to defeat the whole purpose of your experiment because your experiment is to see what organisms there are where you're testing, not what organisms there are because you're doing a dirty job. Does that make sense? So this has to be done aseptically. The entire time that you're heating this cap needs to be on. Once this thing is melted, I don't even know what this is. I apologize. Once this thing is nice and melted, okay, you're going to pour it onto your petri dish. So let me stop sharing here so you can see my camera, okay? I've got like a whole bunch of weird things going on here. Stand by to stand by. Got too many toys. That's a lie. There's no such thing as too many toys. Okay, so here's your, this is the other experiment that we're working on in the other class. Okay, so here's my petri dish. Here's my media. Okay, let's pretend that this stuff is nice and melted now, and we're going to pour it in here. Okay, you would not do this. If you do that, you're going to contaminate the entire petri dish. Okay, you cannot do that. This lid needs to stay on here all the time. So if this thing is melted, you're going to turn it at a 30-degree angle. You're going to take the lid off. You're going to raise the lid gently, just like this, and you're going to pour it into the petri dish. Once it's poured in there, you're going to immediately recover it. Okay? The intent is that no garbage is going to go in here while it's being melted, and no garbage is going to go into this petri dish as we transfer from the tube to the petri dish. Okay? So this stuff, let's see, it melts at 65 degrees Celsius and it congeals at 35, I think. So you really have to get it nice, and you have to have a good boiling water bath to get this thing to melt. Okay? But do a good job. And by a good job, I mean keep this thing clean by keeping the lid on, and keep this guy clean by keeping the lid on. And when you transfer it, you're only going to open the lid just enough to transfer this. You're going to dump it in there. Once it's dumped in there, you're going to cover it again. Okay? All right. So you're going to do that 4 times because you're going to end up with 4 petri dishes. Now, you're going to take your sample, your environmental sample. So you're going to need your Q-tips, and you can immerse your Q-tips in distilled water so you can get a better environmental sample. And then when you go to inoculate the petri dish, what you do is let's see if I can do this. You push it with the thumb like that. Man, I've got big hands. You push it with the thumb like that. See how when I see this fat little thumb right here? If I put this fat little thumb right here and I push, the lid raises. Do you see that? And then with this finger, with the index finger, and I raise it a little bit more, and then I'm going to put my swab in there, and I'm going to beep, 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 do a streak across the plate. Again, the intent being that what's in this plate is going to become only from that swab and nowhere else. Once you have done that, you're going to parafilm this. You're going to put it somewhere nice and warm, and you're going to watch it over 5 days. Now, this should be fun. You should be able to see different colonies of bacteria. You should be able to see different fungi. But here's the hiccup. In the control, the one of the 4 plates that you have not inoculated, you know what's supposed to grow in there? Nothing. So if you pick up your control and there's something growing in there, your aseptic technique was not good. Okay? So that's your challenge. So the fun part is to look at the different things that are going to grow in the petri dish. Okay? Your challenge is that the one petri dish that is the control should have absolutely nothing growing in there. Okay? That's the gist of it. The data sheet is already up. Essentially, you're going to take You know, you're going to take 4 pictures for 5 days. You're going to include the pictures in the data sheet, and you can answer a couple of questions about it. The intent is for you to see how incredibly ubiquitous microorganisms are. So that's it for now. Have a wonderful day, okay? Thank you.